All right, my homies, here we are hunting with Hammer. This is the 2024 elk hunting recap brought to you by Bear Creek Equipment Repair, owned and operated by James Ashmead. He serves most of the loggers in the area with a mobile repair truck, and he also does fabrication and work in his shop. Awesome dude, awesome family. Bear Creek Equipment Repair. Rock on. Well, 2024 was interesting. Didn't get a lot of action early on. Went up to where I've gone before. You know, I totally solo hunt on public ground. So went up to about 3 miles in, put a little spike camp together up there, and had some 3 or 4 cameras out. I knew there was a big 5-point in there, and a little band of cows and calves. So I was after the 5-point, and basically they did not talk at all. There was zero talking. There was elk there. I didn't hear a peep from a bull, even at night laying there. Not a single bugle at night. I went up there twice for 3 days at a pop. But what I did hear was I heard wolves. There was a pack of wolves in there last year. One of them was lame, looked like it had a hurt front shoulder. May have been kicked by an elk or moose or something. But I had them on camera then. But I think they got me figured out, because despite all the howling and movement I heard from them, they avoided all of my cameras this year. I never got a picture of a single one on camera. At one point, they came in within 200 yards of my camp one night and had fanned out and were howling at me, directly at me. They knew I was there. Hey, wolves do what wolves do. Hammer does what Hammer does. Well, the next day, there's one wolf that was howling from the same location, and he'd been howling there a couple times before. So I said, well, to heck with this. The elk hunting is not great, so I'm going to start hunting wolves. So I slipped down in on him and started howling back at him, and he kept howling at me. And he's about a half-mile off, maybe quarter mile, round around in there. I got up to about 80 yards of him, and then he shut up. I did have the wind in my favor, but he must have knew something was up, because he shut up, and I never did see him. But what I did find was their den in a hollowed out cedar tree. They drug a dried cow patty in it, and laying in front of it was the remnants of a cow elk leg, and also the remnants of a raven. I figured that was kind of a toy for probably a young juvenile wolf, and he'd been playing with the ravens, and they had obviously had a kill somewhere. So I decided to go find the kill, and I went downstream probably about another half-mile, and I did end up finding a bunch of ravens and buzzards, and found the kill, and it was fairly fresh. It was stinking, but they'd only ate part of it. And so I got pretty excited when I found that. I've got a den. I've got a fresh kill. Well, as a trapper, I was going to head into town and immediately boil up some MB750 wolf traps and set them. First, I was going to set around the kill. Of course, you can't set right next to the kill, because that's illegal in Idaho. You got to be at least 75 feet away, but I was going to set the trail going into it about 200 feet away, and then set the den. Now, I've been in a situation like this before. This is a slam dunk for a good trapper of probably catching all the wolves, if not most of them. So I was pretty excited about that as I headed back into town to get traps. Then I remembered that there was something going on with wolf season and wolf trapping season in the state of Idaho. I'd heard something about it through Fish and Game, and also through the Idaho Trappers Association. So I looked up the regs, and I was correct in my suspicions. Because of a grizzly bear injunction, wolf trapping was basically eliminated, except for the portions of the year where grizzly bears are not out and about. Of course, that's a bunch of BS because there's no grizzly bear down around in here, and it affected a lot of counties in Idaho. And so the wolf trapping season was December 1 to the end of February. Of course, this was in September, so there was no way I was going to set traps. And basically, this blew my chance of catching several wolves. I'm certain I would have got several wolves. Anyway, there you go, a bunch of do-gooders causing more harm than good. So after that, I decided to abandon hunting up there, and then I went to hunt local for a little bit, while I was after work, not taking any time off, but just in the evening. And I did get up on a young bull that bugled at me, and I bugled at him, and he was in a wallow. I was running out of daylight, so I had to push him and try to get up on him, and he blew out of there, and I never got a chance at him. But at least he was talking. So that renewed some hope in me that things were going to turn around a little bit. So after that, I was going to take a couple more days off along with the weekend. I went to my camper, stayed in it, and the next morning I was going to hunt up a drainage I knew well, and started heading up through there and ran right into a big camp of hunters, wall tents and pickups and everything, right up an old skid trail, old logging road that really they had no business being up in with all that. And so that blew my plans for that morning. So I decided to go to another place up a ridge where I'd had pretty good luck. In fact, I'd missed a bull a few years ago in there with an arrow, trying to thread an arrow right between two trees, and got right in the edge of the tree and stuck it, and the bull took off. But anyway, I had action in there quite a bit, so I started hunting up this timbered ridge, of course by myself, and just cow calling. Got up to the top of a main ridge where three ridges come together, and I was just going to sit there, eat lunch, do a little bugling, a little cow call, and see if I could stir something up. As soon as I hit the top of the ridge, I heard a little pop right below me, and I glanced over, and I saw brown, and I saw brown that was broadside coming parallel with me. And this was very close. This was 10 yards. And I saw antlers. I knew that was a bull. And so I got ready and waited just a little bit. He had stopped behind some brush, and then he stepped out, full broadside, 10 yards, his head down, feeding. He absolutely thought I was a cow elk, because he paid me no more attention than what he didn't even look up. And as soon as I saw vitals, I put an arrow in him. Then I started cow calling, and I could hear cows below me talking too. And so he didn't really knew what happened to him, and he kind of stumbled a little bit, and he went forward down below me, and I could see his antlers, and he was just kind of moving, wobbling like this, his antlers were. So I knew I hit him pretty hard. And then he walked down below me and disappeared. I couldn't see him anymore, so I kept cow calling, kept light cow calling. And then I heard a little soft thud. At the time, I wasn't sure what it was because I could hear other elk. I was literally on the edge of this little elk herd, and with the wind totally in my favor. I mean, it was beautiful. And so I decided to put out a little short challenge bugle. And then a bull bugled right back at me, which got me confused. I didn't know if that was him or not. And so I bugled back, and then it got closer, a lot closer, and bugled again, and I could hear some crashing. I thought, well, maybe that's him getting sick down right below me, about maybe 30 yards. Maybe that's him. I bugled again, and the bull bugled back, and then I could hear cows, and then I heard a bunch of crashing. So that got me a little confused. I decided I better just chill out, just take a break, and wait for about an hour and figure out what was going on here, because I was not sure at all at this point what was happening. Well, come to find out, that thump I heard was the bull I hit piling up. I mean, deader than the doorknob, only 20 yards away. And the crashing and the bugling was another bull that I called up right to that dead bull. So that's pretty exciting. 2 bulls. Anyway, nice young 6-point, 6x6, good shape, a lot of fat on him. I went to parting him out. I was only a half mile from the road, but it's mountains and steep, so I started. It was definitely a quarter-in pack out. Called my buddy Cody, and then figured I'd call my neighbor Devin. Cody was Army veteran and Devin Marine veteran, and I figured, hey, I could get him out by myself, but it's way easier if you got a couple guys to help you. And of course, I met him down by the road and took him into the bull, and in no time, Devin, Cody, and Devin's buddy and myself got that bull all parted out and packed out. So easy pack, great hunt. Rock on, my homies. Solo elk hunting on public ground. Rock on.